In the heart of a quiet village called Umueze, a young mother named Ngozi sat on the edge of her raffia mat, humming to a newborn son, Kamsi. The room was small, dim, and warm with the smell of palm oil and shea butter. Outside, the night frogs had begun their singing. Ngozi was tired, so tired her eyes begged to close. She had spent the whole day pounding yam, fetching water, and caring for the baby. The father of the child, gone like smoke after rain. Kamsi lay beside her, small like a rolled leaf, making tiny sounds with his lips. His breath was soft, like wind touching dry grass. Ngozi didn't mean to sleep. She only closed her eyes for a minute, but minutes grew legs that night. And as the crickets sang louder, Ngozi drifted into sleep, deep and careless, the kind that steals your thoughts. And the baby, still on the edge of the mat, with no one watching. In the dark corners of the hut, the wind stirred the curtains like it had something to say. The baby made a sound, just a soft cry, but nobody heard. Ngozi was deep in sleep, mouth slightly open, dreaming of rivers and palm wine. That's when the whispers began, not from people, from the old spirits that watch over children, the ones whose eyes never close. In Umwez, elders say, a child's cry is a prayer the spirits answer. The cry of Kamsi pierced through the night, sharp, then soft, like a feather falling with a scream. It moved past the walls, past the trees, into the ears of those who hear beyond sound. An owl hooted once, then twice. A dog nearby barked without reason. Something was not right in the air. And the baby, still lying near the edge of the mat, moved one tiny arm. The edge was near, and nothing stood between him and the cold, hard floor. As the baby shifted and the wind whispered, a figure stood near the hut. It wasn't a thief. It wasn't a neighbor. It was Mama Ejima, the oldest woman in Umweze. Some said she was part spirit, part woman. She lived at the edge of the village and often spoke in riddles. But she had a gift. She could hear babies cry before the sound even reached the air. She had felt something tug at her chest, a cry, a warning, a pull. She walked through the night barefoot, her white wrapper brushing the earth. Her silver hair glowed under the moonlight. As she reached Ngozi's hut, she didn't knock. She pushed the door open gently. Inside, the baby was halfway off the mat. One more turn, and it would have been a scream. And maybe silence forever. Mama Ejima rushed forward. With hands steady like old trees, she caught the baby just in time. Then she looked at the sleeping mother and shook her head slowly. Careless sleep brings careless sorrow, she muttered. And then she sat, waiting for morning. The rooster crowed. Not once, not twice, 3 times. Ngozi stirred, her eyelids heavy, her heart still asleep. She yawned, stretched, and rubbed her eyes. The mat felt lighter, too light. Then it hit her, the baby. She turned fast, heart thumping like village drums during a festival. But the space beside her was empty. Her breath caught, her mouth trembled. Kamsi, she whispered. Then a soft coo came from the corner. She turned, and there he was, wrapped safely in a white cloth, resting in the arms of Mama Ejima, who sat still like a statue, eyes on Ngozi like a mother scolding a child. Ngozi gasped. Mama? What? How? Mama Ejima did not smile. She placed Kamsi back into his mother's arms gently, like placing a crown on a queen's head. Sleep is sweet, my daughter, she said, but a baby's life is softer than ripe pawpaw. Ngozi's eyes filled with tears. Shame wrapped itself around her like a cold wind. By mid-morning, the whispers had spread like bushfire. Women at the stream clutched their wrappers tighter. Men at the palm wine joint shook their heads. Did you hear? She slept off and left the child near the edge, if not for Mama Ejima. And so the village judged her, not with stones, but with words, sharp ones. Even the children played games where they pretend to fall asleep and shout, "Don't drop the baby!" Ngozi kept her head low that day. She walked to the market, her baby tied tightly to her back, eyes staring at the ground, heart pounding with every stare she felt. But Mama Ejima's words echoed louder than the gossip. "A baby's life is softer than ripe pawpaw." That night, Ngozi didn't sleep deeply. She lay with Kamsi on her chest, listening for every breath, every shift. But the spirits weren't done with her yet, because sometimes lessons are not taught in one day. The next night came quickly, and with it, a stillness too deep. Kamsi hadn't cried, not once, no tiny hunger wails, no gargles, just quiet. Ngozi grew worried. She checked his forehead, cool, his chest. He was breathing, but softly. "Maybe he's just tired," she said to herself, but her voice shook. She sang lullabies. She offered warm breast milk. Nothing. Kamsi just stared, wide eyes unblinking, watching something invisible above them. Ngozi felt fear creep into her bones. Her heart raced faster with every passing second. Had the spirits taken offense? Had they left a message behind that she failed to read? She wrapped him tighter, whispered prayers she barely remembered, and stared at the doorway, half hoping Mama Ejima would appear again. Outside, a strong wind rose, then thunder rolled. Something was shifting in the night air. And this time, Mama Ejima did not come. Only the silence remained. By dawn, Ngozi couldn't take it anymore. Kamsi was too quiet. His eyes didn't blink much. His tiny fingers didn't grip her skin like before. So she did what every scared mother and Umueze did. She went to the Dibia, the village seer. Old Dibia Nwachukwu lived at the edge of the forest, where birds don't sing too loud and leaves fall like whispers. His hut was small, filled with dried herbs, bones, and hanging gourds. Ngozi knelt before him, baby tied to her back. "Please, Papa, something is wrong with my son." The old man didn't speak. He looked into her eyes, then at the baby, then reached into a calabash full of kola nuts. After tossing them and reading their dance, he sighed, deep and long. "The spirits are not angry," he said. Ngozi's hope rose. "But they are watching. You were given a gift, and you treated it like leftover yam." Her heart sank. He handed her a small snail. "Keep this beside him for 3 nights. If it moves toward him, he is still yours. If it turns away," he didn't finish. Ngozi left with fear, tightening around her chest like rope. That night, Ngozi placed the snail beside her baby. As instructed, she didn't sleep. She didn't even blink. She sat by the mat, watching both the snail and her son like a hawk guarding a chick. Hours passed. The candle burned low. The room was silent, except for the gentle rhythm of the baby's breath. The snail moved, but only in a slow, wide circle, nowhere near the child. Ngozi's heart broke a little more. She whispered, "Kamsi, please, come back to me." No answer. She started to sing softly, a lullaby her own mother used to hum when fear walked into their home. "Sleep, my child. Don't drift too far. Stay where mother's heart can find." The snail stopped moving. Ngozi stared, her mouth frozen. And Kamsi, still silent, still watching something invisible, beyond the ceiling, beyond her reach. She wept quietly. And for the first time, she realized motherhood is not only love, it is vigilance. By the second night, Ngozi had not eaten. Her eyes were red, not from sleep, but from sorrow. She held her son close, but he felt distant, like a dream, fading with sunrise. Again, she placed the snail beside him. This time, she lit 3 candles and sprinkled ground charcoal around the mat in a circle, as if trying to protect him with symbols she barely understood. The snail didn't move at all. Ngozi waited. Hours passed. Stillness. But near midnight, something strange happened. Kamsi blinked once, slowly, then turned his head toward her chest and let out a soft sigh. A tear of hope rolled down Ngozi's cheek. He's here, she whispered. Still here. But just then, the candle flickered. Then the second one died, and a soft voice, no louder than the wind, whispered in the room. Not a word she understood, but it was cold, heavy, almost angry. She clutched her son tighter, heart thumping. I will not lose you, she said firmly. But the spirits don't care for promises, only action, and dawn was still far away. On the third night, sleep caught up with Ngozi, not like before, but like a thief. She didn't even realize when her eyes shut, but this sleep was not ordinary. She found herself standing in the middle of a wide, misty forest. The trees whispered her name, Ngozi, Ngozi. And before her stood 3 figures, glowing softly, neither male nor female, neither young nor old. One of them stepped forward. Why should we return what you nearly lost? Ngozi shivered. He's my child. Is he yours? The spirit asked. Or was he left for the earth to collect? She dropped to her knees. I was tired. I didn't mean to. Love is not what you say when the sun shines, another spirit said. Love is what you guard when the shadows fall. Ngozi wept. Please, give me another chance. The forest trembled, the ground cracked, and the spirits whispered among themselves. Finally, the third spirit spoke. Return to the living. Wash the snail. It will carry your answer. Then all went black, and she woke up, gasping. Ngozi's eyes shot open. The candle was gone. The room was cold. Her wrapper was damp with sweat. She looked at Kamsi. He was breathing. But the snail was gone. She panicked, searched the mat, lifted every cloth. Nothing. Then, just before she lost all hope, she saw it, right under the baby's tiny hand. The snail had crawled to him, slowly but surely. Ngozi let out a sound, a mix of laugh and cry, like water breaking through a dam of sorrow. She pulled her baby to her chest. Kamsi, I'm sorry. And for the first time in days, the baby made a sound, a small, raspy cry, weak but alive. Ngozi held him like he was air and water and fire all in one. Then she made a vow, not with words, but with her spirit, never again. That morning, as the cock crowed once again, a knock came at Ngozi's door. It was Mama Ejima. She didn't speak. She just looked at the baby, now crying gently in his mother's arms. He returned to you, the old woman said softly. Ngozi nodded, eyes full of tears. Yes, Mama, but I almost lost him. Mama Ejima entered, placed her hand on the child's forehead, and whispered a prayer in her native tongue. Then she faced Ngozi. Now you must tell other mothers. You must carry this lesson and pour it like water into dry hearts. Ngozi agreed. From that day, she became more than a mother. She became a keeper of stories, a guardian of warnings, a living tale for other women who forget that babies are not just carried on the back, but in the heart. And far, far away, in the spirit world, the ancestors nodded, because this time she had truly awakened. The village square was full that evening. The sky burned orange as the sun dropped behind the hills, and the elder sat under the iroko tree, chewing kola nuts and nodding slowly at stories passed from one generation to the next. But tonight was different. Tonight, Ngozi stepped forward. a young mother, a woman who had once walked with her head low, now stood tall with her baby tied to her chest. People whispered, wondering what she was doing there. But Mama Ejima stood beside her and raised her hand. Let her speak. Ngozi's voice trembled at first, but it grew steady like a river finding its course. She told them everything: the sleep, the silence, the spirits, the snail. And when she finished, even the children were quiet. The wind itself seemed to listen. I could have lost him, she said, her eyes shining, because I forgot that love without attention is like water without a pot. It spills. And from that moment, her shame turned to strength. After that night, young mothers began coming to her hut, one by one, then in twos and threes. They didn't come to laugh. They came to learn. Some brought crying babies. Some came with eyes swollen from wrecks. All of them sat on the mat with Ngozi and listened as she spoke softly but deeply. She told them how even love can fall asleep if you don't guard it. She told them that exhaustion is real, but careless sleep is a thief that comes smiling. She didn't speak like a prophet. She spoke like a sister, like someone who had walked barefoot through fire and come out with burns that healed into lessons. Soon, women from other villages came too. They brought gifts: cola, yam, palm oil, offered not as payment, but as thanks. And through it all, Kamsi grew strong. His laughter became a melody in the compound. His cries a reminder that life, no matter how small, must be held tight. One rainy evening, as Nosy washed cassava at the back of her compound, she heard a voice she hadn't heard in over a year. Ngozi, she turned. There he stood, Obina, the father of her child, soaked, slimmer, face heavy with the weight of 100 roads walked. He stared at the child playing in the mud. Is that my son? Ngozi didn't speak at first. Her heart rumbled like thunder in a storm cloud. She wanted to shout, to cry, to ask why he left when she needed him most. But she didn't. She simply wiped her hands, walked over, picked up her son and said, "This is Kamsi. He almost died, but he lived." Obina dropped to his knees. His chest moved fast. His eyes glistened. "I was a fool," he said. "Can I try again?" Ngozi looked at him. She didn't answer right away because forgiveness, like firewood, must be dried properly before it burns clean. That night, Ngozi sat by the cooking fire, staring into the flames as they danced like restless spirits. Obina sat across from her, silent, nervous, his fingers picking at the hem of his shirt. Kamsi slept peacefully in her arms, unaware of the storm his parents were trying to calm. "I didn't die," Ngozi finally said, "but I came close." Obina lowered his head. "I was scared. I didn't know how to be a father. I ran." Ngozi looked him straight in the eye. "Running is for chickens, Obina. You left me alone with a child, with shame and with silence." The fire cracked loudly between them. "But," she continued, "I also found myself. I found a strength I never knew. I became a mother, not just by name, but by heart." Obina wiped his eyes. "Can I be part of that strength now?" She didn't answer yet, because healing needs time. The next day, Ngozi visited Mama Ejima with Kamsi tied to her back. The old woman was tending to her bitter leaf garden, humming a song older than memory. "I don't know what to do," Ngozi confessed. Mama Ejima smiled softly. "About the boy's father?" Ngozi nodded. The old woman poured water into a clay pot and said, "Forgiveness is not a guest. It is a seed. You must decide whether to plant it or leave the soil bare." "But what if he leaves again?" Mama Ejima shrugged. "Then you will rise again, like you did before." Ngozi's chest felt tight, but not with fear this time, with clarity. She realized that her power wasn't in Obina's return. Her power was in surviving his absence. Later that week, Obina returned again, this time with a small carved stool and a bag of rice. "I'm not here to talk," he said. "I just want to do something right." He helped sweep the compound. He played with Kamsi. He repaired the broken hinge on her door. He came not as a hero, but as a man trying to pick up the pieces he dropped. Ngozi watched. She didn't stop him, but she also didn't rush him. That night, she sat on her mat, Kamsi sleeping beside her, and whispered, "If you wish to stay, stay. But know this, I'm not the woman who begged for your love. I'm the woman who lived without it and, and built a fire from her own tears. And in that quiet strength, the house felt whole. Not perfect, not finished, but whole."